Hello and welcome to the Keep Blooming podcast. I'm your host, Liz Montigny. This is episode 9, and it is part of my 4-part Advent series. This week we are talking about joy in the season that you are in. I have some tips for you on how to simply embrace it instead of fighting against it. And again, I want to remind you to be sure to hop onto my email list so you can find out about my upcoming retreats in the new year. The new year is not far off, friends, as well as get the best price on my Dreams to Goals course available now. So let's get growing and keep blooming. Do you want simple steps to level up your mind, body, and spirit, or encouragement as you navigate the challenges of motherhood? Or maybe you need a dose of hope to achieve that goal? Then you've tuned in to the right podcast. This is Keep Blooming, and I'm your host, Liz Montigny. Each week, I'll encourage you to drop the hustle mentality for hope and act on the dreams God has put on your heart. I'm a licensed Ziglar life coach. I've created a theater ministry, and like you, I'm doing all the things as a Catholic, a wife, and a mom to 3 boys. So let's get growing and keep blooming. Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 9 of the Keep Blooming podcast. I'm your host, Liz Montigny, and here we are. We are in the 3rd week of Advent. We've lit that pink candle. It's all about joy. And today I am specifically talking about joy in the season of life that you are in right now and truly embracing it rather than fighting against it. So if you've been tuning in for these past 9 or so weeks, you know that I love to root my conversations in truth. And I do that with a little abbreviated Lectio Divina. And today's verse is Romans 15, verse 13. Here we go. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. I love this. May the God of hope fill you with all joy. Oh, joy and happiness are 2 different things, friends, right? Happiness is kind of fleeting and temporary. Joy is eternal. Joy exists even when there is sorrow. All right, we will come back to that at the end. But yes, let's dive into this because I hear a lot of my clients, mostly moms, worried about what they should be doing instead of simply embracing the season they are in. So think about it for a moment. What is God calling you to do now? Are you responding to his call, or are you reacting to the things of this world? What's your vocation right now? Are you being called to stop hustling? Are you being called to be more with your family? Just take some time to consider that. Several years ago for me, I knew I needed to be an at-home mom with our 3 young boys, but I also felt a call to become an entrepreneur. This was exciting and daunting at the same time. And it didn't go smoothly at first, which is why now I love to help other women figure this part out, okay? What happened was I was never all in. If I was with my children, then I was thinking about work. If I was working, then I was thinking about my children. So I was never really present. Christy Wright talks about this in her book, Take Back Your Time. So if you know this feeling, you know that it's exhausting, right? I had 0 peace of mind, and instead of being productive, I was just busy. I tried to check as many things as I could off my to-do list, and I was just not living joyfully, both in how I felt in my relationships. I wasn't running my day. It was running me. For decades, I'm just going to say this because it's been going on for a while and somebody needs to. I think women have been fed a lie, okay, that we can do it all and will all go well. Now, I believe we can do it all, but perhaps not at the same speed or in the same way as your friend or that person you follow on Instagram, right? So finding that balance in your life is about transforming your mindset around your time. Your time is a choice. I think it's also about living with the end in mind, living your legacy now. And it's definitely about taking care of yourself so you can better serve others. So let's talk about these three things a little bit. I think time has more to do with your top priority than it has to do with how many hours you've got in your day. Okay. So for the moms out there that have littles, the little ones, of course your children are your priority. Just act like it, own it. Does this mean you can't get any me time in or work on a project that is on your heart? Of course not. But it does mean that for this season, it's mostly about your little ones. I give you permission to embrace this simple concept. Just own it. And I get it. Simple doesn't always mean easy. And this is actually a really countercultural idea to just own the season that you're in. Okay. Few things I used to do when the boys were really little is give the day a theme. I've discovered, especially as I moved into entrepreneurship while raising a family, I just discovered that trying to do a little bit of everything every day doesn't really add up to a ton of progress, and it actually left me really frustrated. So consider this, pick one day of the week to do a power hour toward a long-term goal. This is kind of like batch working or time blocking. These tools work, but you have to define boundaries around when you're with your family and when you're not. And I think it all comes down to, do you want to do a lot of things just okay? Or do you want to do a few things really well? And now for those of you who may be listening who don't have the little ones, maybe you have teens, or maybe you're even an empty nester now, and you may be thinking of time as maybe fleeting or either a little overwhelming because now you have more choices. So instead of that, just flip that around and think of all the exciting possibilities. And I think it's definitely time for you to get dreaming. Has there something that you've been putting off? The someday is now, because now you have the time, even more of it. So consider that. The second thing that I wanted to chat about is, when we think about embracing this season that we're in, we really have to consider the end in mind, our purpose, what's our legacy, and living that legacy now. Okay. So this one is more spiritual than technical. Okay. What is God asking of you? What do you want to be known for? And this is something you really need to sit down and ponder. This is perhaps a little journal exercise for you. And I love the idea of picking 3 things that you would like to be known for and working towards living into those. Now, for me, I think of being joyful, hardworking, and generous. So how am I an example of this in my everyday life? Okay. So when I think about this, does cramming my schedule so tight that I get tired when I look at my planner make me joyful? No, absolutely not, right? Um, Maybe this is you. Do you answer emails on your vacation? Does this make you hardworking or fried? I know when I had my virtual assistant business, I just felt like I needed to just be available. And I went on a long weekend and I said that I would be. I said that I would be accessible, and what a mistake that was. And that's what happened. I wasn't hardworking, I was just fried and not present. So don't fall into those traps. They're easy to do. And yeah, my third one was generous. So, you know, if I keep volunteering for this or that and overextend myself to the point of being uncharitable to my own family, is that really being generous? Right? So, legacy is really making the choice to live a proactive instead of a reactive lifestyle. So, take that time. Advent's a great time to reflect and do this and just consider, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to set the example for? And even if you don't have a partner or children, um, that's okay. You still have friends in your circle of influence. How do you want to be the example? And take some time to think about that. And I really think that does help us, embrace the time that we're in now. Okay. The third thing that I mentioned was self-care, right? Self-care is about creating the energy to serve. I really believe this. I know, we've all heard about self-care, all the tons of benefits and all the different ways to do it. And you hear so much about it because it's all true. Okay. But here's one more thing to consider, right? It's that it's giving you the creative energy to go out and serve. It's, whether it's going for a walk or reading a good book in a comfy chair, or, it could even be creating a budget so you can turn that dream trip into a reality. Whatever it is for you, I encourage you to really keep a list of 3 things you can do that cost you little to no money and will immediately restore your mind, body, and spirit. So that's your homework. Go think of 3 things you can do that are either free or super cheap that will immediately restore your mind, body, and spirit. Make sure you know what those are off the top of your head. Write them on a sticky note where you work or put them into your phone, whatever it is, so that you can restore yourself creatively when you need to instead of running on the hamster wheel, right? And when we're able to do that, we can serve those around us from a place of joy. And we can respond to challenges, whether they're from a toddler or work, right? Instead of reacting to them. Okay? So, some things to think about there when you're embracing the season that you are in now. All right? Think about your mindset around time. Think about living your legacy now. And think about what that self-care is for you. And, something I always love to enjoy is just the wonder, right, of our creation, what God has made for us. And He created seasons. Our daily lives, are they so different? So how do you think your attitude and performance will change when you commit to the season you're in instead of fighting against it? So think about that, my friends, okay? All right, let's take a look again at Romans 15, verse 13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Beautiful. Fill you. Imagine being filled with hope, joy, peace, believing. Oh, those are such beautiful things. And they're what we're all seeking. And we're seeking that in God. That's who we're seeking. So go spend some time with him. Absolutely. All right, my friend, that's what I have for you today. Short and sweet. I want you to keep blooming. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Keep Blooming. Tune in every Wednesday for a dose of hope and encouragement. You can find this podcast on Anchor, Spotify, and Google and Apple Podcasts. To be the first to know about my upcoming retreats and latest offerings, be sure to hop onto my email list. Have a wonderful week, and remember to keep blooming.